Some roles turn actors into global stars, but not all of them look back with pride. From Oscar-nominated performances to billion-dollar franchises, these actors later admitted they regret the very roles that made them famous. Here are actors who wish they never said yes to their most iconic roles. Landing the lead roles in a massive film franchise sounds like a dream, but for two of its stars, the experience wasn't exactly what they expected. Dakota Johnson and Jamie Dornan became worldwide names after playing Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey in the 50 Shades film trilogy. The movies were based on hugely popular books known for their intense and explicit relationship between the two characters, and the films brought major box office success. But both actors later made it clear the experience wasn't entirely positive. Dornan admitted he couldn't believe he even participated in the series, while Johnson said the films put her on a path she never anticipated. One of Sylvester Stallone's biggest movie regrets started with a script that many people thought was unbelievably bad. Sylvester Stallone surprised audiences when he starred in the comedy Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, a buddy cop film where his character teams up with his crime-fighting mother, played by Estelle Getty from The Golden Girls. The unusual premise and weak script led to brutal reviews, and the movie ended up with a very low score on Rotten Tomatoes. Later, Arnold Schwarzenegger revealed he had pretended to be interested in the role, which helped push Stallone toward taking it. Stallone eventually called the film the worst of his entire career. The movies made him a global superstar, but he couldn't stand them. Robert Pattinson became one of the most recognizable faces in the world after playing Edward Cullen in the Twilight franchise, a series that followed a teenager who falls in love with a century-old vampire. The films exploded into a massive pop culture phenomenon and earned nearly $3.3 billion at the box office. But Pattinson was incredibly vocal about how much he disliked the series. He mocked his own character, complained about the overwhelming noise of fans screaming, and repeatedly made it clear he hated the movies more than anyone else involved. Even the biggest action legends have one movie they wish never happened. Arnold Schwarzenegger appeared in Hercules in New York, a low-budget comedy where he played Hercules, a powerful god banished to New York by Zeus. In the story, Hercules ends up navigating life in the city, becoming a professional wrestler and fighting to win back his freedom. Schwarzenegger was only 22 at the time and was even credited under the name Arnold Strong. The film received terrible reviews and might have been forgotten entirely if not for its future superstar. Schwarzenegger later made it clear he regrets making the movie at all. One superhero movie went so wrong that it pushed an actor to try again with another legendary hero. Ben Affleck starred as Matt Murdock in Daredevil, a Marvel film about a blind lawyer who secretly fights crime as a vigilante at night. The movie featured a strong cast and performed well at the box office, helping show that Marvel characters could draw big audiences. But critics were brutal, and the film became infamous as one of the worst comic-to-film adaptations of the era. Affleck later admitted he regrets the movie, and the experience ultimately motivated him to take on the role of Batman. Even Hollywood's biggest stars have one movie they wish they could erase. George Clooney stepped into the iconic role of Batman in Batman and Robin, a superhero film that quickly became infamous after its release. The movie, directed by Joel Schumacher, turned into a long-running joke and is often labeled one of the worst films ever made. It also became the lowest-grossing live-action Batman movie and even shut down the franchise until it was rebooted years later with Batman Begins. Clooney never forgot the experience. He keeps a photo of himself as Batman in his office as a reminder of what can happen when a movie is made purely for commercial reasons. One movie decision still haunts Will Smith because it meant walking away from a completely different blockbuster. Will Smith chose to star in Wild Wild West, teaming up with Kevin Kline in a big-budget action comedy. But that choice came with a major trade-off. Smith had actually turned down the lead role of Neo in The Matrix, the part that eventually went to Keanu Reeves. While Wild Wild West was met with harsh reviews, The Matrix became a massive hit and launched an entire franchise with multiple sequels. Looking back, Smith has admitted that if he could give his younger self advice, it would be simple: don't do Wild Wild West. Joining a legendary franchise should be exciting, but this experience turned out very differently. Emilia Clarke stepped into the world of Terminator when she starred in Terminator Genisys, the fifth installment in the long-running series that began with the 1984 classic. The film was intended to act as a soft reboot and even brought Arnold Schwarzenegger back to the franchise. but the movie struggled badly with critics and didn't perform well at the box office. Plans for a sequel were eventually canceled, which came as a relief to Clarke, who later revealed that no one involved in the production had a good time making the film. Working with a legendary director once felt like a huge opportunity, but some actors later wished they hadn't taken it. Greta Gerwig and Elliot Page both appeared in To Rome with Love, a film directed by Woody Allen, a filmmaker known for classics like Annie Hall and Hannah and Her Sisters. Years later, as Allen's personal controversies drew renewed attention and the Me Too movement gained momentum, many actors who had worked with him began speaking out. Gerwig later said she wouldn't work with Allen again, while Page went even further, describing the experience of appearing in the film as the biggest regret of his career. One small misunderstanding led to one of Bill Murray's biggest movie regrets. Bill Murray ended up voicing the famous Orange Cat and Garfield, the movie, a film that surprisingly earned around $200 million at the box office. Fans were confused about why the famously selective actor chose the project. The answer turned out to be a mix-up. Murray believed the screenplay was written by Joel Coen from the famous Coen brothers filmmaking duo. Instead, it was written by Joel Coen, a completely different person. Realizing the mistake later, Murray even referred to the film as his greatest regret. Winning an Oscar nomination usually feels like a career highlight, but not every actor looks back at those roles with pride. Viola Davis earned major recognition for playing Aibileen in The Help, a film about maids in 1960s Mississippi whose stories were told through a book written by a young journalist named Skeeter. The movie was a huge success and even earned Davis her second Oscar nomination, but Davis later admitted she regrets taking the role. She had hoped the story would focus more on the disenfranchised maids themselves rather than their white employers, and eventually felt the film fell short of that goal. One famous video game movie became the biggest regret of an accomplished actor's career. Bob Hoskins took on the role of Mario in Super Mario Bros., a film based on the hugely popular video game franchise. The story followed Mario and his brother Luigi as they tried to rescue Princess Peach from the villain King Koopa. But the movie quickly gained a reputation for its weak plot and poor writing, becoming a major failure with both critics and audiences. Hoskins didn't hide how he felt about the project. He later made it clear that starring in Super Mario Bros. Was the biggest regret of his entire career. Some movie failures sting more than others, and one film hit especially hard for Will Smith. In the sci-fi adventure After Earth, Smith played a father leading space expeditions with his son, Jaden Smith, searching for habitable planets in the distant future. After their ship crash lands on a dangerous Earth, the story follows Jaden's character trying to survive lethal creatures and reunite with his injured father. But the movie struggled badly with critics and at the box office. For Smith, the disappointment ran deep. He later described the project as the most painful failure of his entire career.